So we are live. Thank you guys so much for being on the call and joining in with us today, taking the time to be with me and be my guest. I know that these are some very unprecedented times that we are dealing with right now. And I know that you guys could be tending to your families, your children, um, work, going to school online. So I'm really appreciative of your time and, the efforts that you guys have put in to be on this call today. First of all, I want to thank the viewers. Thank you to all who are watching us online. I am super excited that you are watching us. So please, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and write them down on the comment, and we will make sure to try to answer your questions at the end of the lunch and learn. So feel free to do that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start with introducing our guest. First of all, I want to introduce what I am going to call our expert panelist, which is Carly Yoost from Child Rescue Coalition. Hi, Carly.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to be a part of this.
I am super excited to have you as well. One of the reasons you guys came to my mind when I was thinking about hosting this panel discussion is because Andre, the CEO of Arc Solvers, was actually at an event that was held by the Elite Foundation. And he heard one of your speakers talk about what you guys do. And he came back so excited. And he told me about it. So I was definitely wanting to put you guys on this call so you can also share with the viewers about the amazing work that you guys are doing at Child Rescue Coalition. And we'll be talking about that here in a minute.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Dr. Marie Etienne from the Global Innovative Foundation. And first of all, Dr. Marie, especially during these times, I want to thank you. I can't thank you enough for being in the front lines of the medical field and helping the community, helping the people. I know that you represent nurses from all over the state of Florida, from probably internationally all over the world. So before anything, I want to say thank you for being in the front lines during this COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you, Tanya. Good afternoon, everyone. Everybody knows Marie Etienne. I'm a professor of nursing from Miami-Dade College, president and CEO of Global Innovative Foundation. It's a pleasure to being here with you this afternoon. Thank you, Tanya, for the invitation. It's always a pleasure seeing everyone helping and serving the community.
Awesome, awesome. So another thing, another person who I want to thank for being on the call is the CEO of Arc Solvers, and Arc Solvers is one of our corporate partners at the Mavuno project. So thank you so much for being on the call. Tell our guests a little bit about Arc Solvers and what you do.
Sure. So we have been in business for 10 years, and we specialize in providing IT services to companies with 10 or more computers. Everything from ensuring that their network is up and running, their telephones are up and running, and on cybersecurity.
Okay, great. And thank you again for taking the time to be on this call as well. So let's get started and let's let our viewers get the information that they came on here for. So I want to go ahead and start with Carly, because I want you to share with our audience and our guests more about what prompted you to start the Child Rescue Coalition and what does your organization do?
Sure. So yeah, I'm excited to share with all of the viewers and your audience exactly what we're doing at Child Rescue Coalition. But to explain first what it is that we do, we're a technology-based organization and a nonprofit organization that builds sophisticated technology that law enforcement is able to access free of charge to identify and lead to the direct arrest of child predators. So specifically, our tool is looking at areas of the internet where child sexual abuse material is being traded. So these illegal files are being tracked by our technology every single day. We're able to lead law enforcement effectively to find the identity of these predators and make the arrest of these dangerous individuals. How I got involved in this organization is this technology was built at my father's company, which is a South Florida based company, TLO, which is based in Boca Raton, Florida. It was a long history of his of building technology that law enforcement used, and a specifically interest of his when any of his technology that could be built could help rescue children or protect children. So he was a longtime board member of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and just became a fierce advocate for child protection. So this technology was developed in about 2008 at his company. And in 2013, he very suddenly and unexpectedly passed away. And it was during that my sister and I stepped into the company and led it for a year, and ultimately selling a portion of the company to TransUnion. But what we kept and maintained ownership was this technology that's identifying child predators all over the world, and it's free and available to law enforcement. So that's when we started Child Rescue Coalition, with the mission of continuing to allowing this to be free and available to law enforcement, and really expanding all over the globe of how much our tool is being utilized.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for taking on your father's baton and making this such a global organization. I did do my research, and you guys were recently doing some work internationally. Am I correct?
Yes. So since transitioning to a nonprofit, we've really expanded our mission and the use around the world. So we're now in 96 countries globally where our technology is being used by law enforcement. And we've had over 12,000 arrests of child predators. So that's directly when law enforcement logs into our tool and updates us that an IP address or a target, a predator target, has been arrested. They give us that feedback. And so we know specifically that we've led to the direct arrest of over 12,000 child predators.
That is amazing. What an awesome cause. And it is definitely so important, especially here. We are based in South Florida, down in Miami, and Miami being the number 3 in the nation when it comes to human trafficking, which that's the cause in which we advocate for. Luring online is such a big issue, and such a big way in which traffickers use to lure girls and boys to go ahead and try to get their next victim. So thank you for the work that you guys are doing locally and internationally. It is so important. I'm going to go ahead and go over to Dr. Marie. Dr. Marie, if you can share about the Global Innovative Foundation and what you guys do.
Sure, Tanya, thank you for asking about Global Innovative Foundation. Global Innovative Foundation basically is a nonprofit organization that we launched not too long ago, back in 2019, for the prevention of crimes, to empower the lives of victims and survivors through education and service, and provide scholarship. So our basic aim is really to provide awareness and education about human trafficking, domestic violence, and gun violence, especially bullying among children, and etc.
That's amazing. I know that you guys are doing a great work here in the local community. I know that we did a lot of stuff during the Super Bowl trying to raise awareness on human trafficking. And I know that your organization is active when it becomes that, and not just raising awareness, but also helping survivors through your luncheons and award ceremonies, creating scholarships so that survivors can continue to move on once they enter a state of recovery. So thank you so
Yes.
much for everything that you guys are doing here. And I'm going to actually pose to you the first question, which is, what are some of the underlying health conditions that you think, either mentally or physically, that can lead a child to want to seek online relationships?
So I had a presentation prepared for you. I was hoping to share some of the slides. So what I'll do right now is share my screen with you, if that's okay.
Sure.
All right, so I will share screen. Okay, so you had asked me to cover some of the mental consequences for children using cyberspace and hopefully provide some tips for parents on internet safety. And so what I did some research and look at what are some of the underlying conditions that would make the children surf the internet. And what I found out is that in looking at the scope of the problems and the consequences, there is a rapid rise on the internet of the use of social media, which poses a new and significant threat to the well-being of children. And children can quickly gain access to those images, videos, and stories that may be psychologically and emotionally harmful. Particularly, social media presents a number of danger if parents are not be careful, because there are a lot of cyberbullying, there is cyber predation and posing a private information that children should not be accessing to, which could be very damaging to not only their future, their immediate surroundings, but also the future. And so in looking at the scope of the problem, we see that the research have shown that there's about 90% of teens who participate in social media and they have ignored bullying that they've witnessed, and one of the third of these victims become cyber bullying themselves. So this is a major problem. So the children are vulnerable in a sense that they're phishing, they're using emails to trick people, and falling into different scams. And so they can accidentally download malicious software, for example, pornography, if they're not be careful, if parents are not be careful. And this is why I'm so excited that you're having this presentation this afternoon, because you will be able to share some tips for parents. And I do have the resource there where I have this information. And so the pace that we see is that the use of social media platforms such as Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, and so on have been very dramatic over the past decade. So that poses the children, that give children access to engage in these online activities. So I'm gonna pause here, but I think if we had to summarize this to make sure that parents understand that because the students have access to certain internet access, that they need to make sure that they know which is safe for their children and to prevent any harm to their children.
Okay, great. And thank you so much for that insight, Dr. Marie. So we are going to go ahead and do you have okay, great. So what are some of the, so you talked about what are some of the things that kids are doing and that is allowing them to get on the internet more. We talked about social media. And I want to go ahead and pose a question to Andre, which would be, if you are a parent and you see that your child continues to go on social media, on these chat rooms, even gaming now, there's chat rooms inside the games that kids can kind of talk to each other. And sometimes we don't know that it is a kid on the other side. It could be, an adult on the other side trying to pose as a kid. Is there a way that parents can trace, whether it's IP addresses or anything that they can trace to make sure that their child is actually talking to another child and not an adult?
Yeah, so I would say even before you get that far, you should put restrictions on your child's device. So either be it an iPhone, an Android phone, a Windows computer, a Mac computer, they all have different tools that come with the device that allows you to do that. So for example, if you have like a Windows, Microsoft laptop, there's something called Microsoft Security Center. And within that tool, it allows you to put blocks on certain categories. So if you don't want your child to go on Facebook or TikTok or whatever website or application, that's a free tool that when you're setting up the laptop, you essentially set it up and you can put it by category. So if they're from this age to this age, a teenager, a tween, whatever the case is. And with that application, it actually gives you a weekly report. So that way you can actually see if they're doing Google searches, Bing searches, whatever the case is, you can actually see. And also on the Apple side, there's something called screen time. And the same thing. So before you even get that far, you can actually prevent them from going on certain apps and blocking. You can actually say, I don't want my child to go on YouTube, and you can just put in YouTube on the list and it blocks them.
Okay, great. So yeah, so we do have all those things in place. However, the reason why I posed this question is because I actually had a friend who not too long ago messaged me and called me saying that she thought that there was someone trying to talk to her teenage daughter online, but she kind of got that motherly instinct and she felt that it was not a child. She felt like it was an adult. So she was asking me, so are there ways that from her side could kind of trace to see where this IP address is coming from, who could really be chatting?
There's softwares that can essentially monitor the device. So again, going back to if it's a Microsoft Windows computer, you can actually put software where it will literally record all the screen time that they're doing. And for something like that, it's not that expensive. It's like $55 a year. And that way it sends you a recording of your child's screen time. And then from there, you can kind of see the conversations and then you can do that. So, but to answer your specific question, those particular softwares don't tell you like where they're from or so forth like that, to answer your specific question.
Get it. So now I'm gonna move over down to Carly. Carly, there's several ways that kids are getting online, and right now what we see is the internet, Google Chrome. That's what the basic person is familiar with, right? You just kind of go either on Ethernet or Chrome or whatever your browser is, and you just kind of browse online. People go on Facebook, but there's something else that's happening on this internet world that is actually called the dark web. Explain to our viewers, what is the dark web and what is happening there as far as the predators and what's going on?
Sure. So a lot of people think when they think about our organization that we're looking for typical websites, which is where they would assume that predators go to download child sexual abuse material. And it's actually not the case. I mean, really any type of platform, whether it be social media or some websites that are out there or or underground dark web places all have child exploitation material, and we need to be monitoring all areas. But what we've seen as an organization is the majority of child sexual abuse material is traded in these dark web forums, and that is where our technology sits. So the dark web can mean a number of different things, and it really just means off the typical internet. So it's not pulling up Google and going to a typical website. So what predators learn, and oftentimes through chat rooms and websites that might be directing them and teaching them how to gain access to this kind of illegal files, is that they would learn to download specific peer-to-peer networks or file sharing networks. So if your viewers are familiar with how Napster worked back in the day, you downloaded a specific software that allowed you to freely trade music and songs.
Right.
These networks, there's many of them that exist after the end of Napster, and predators download these peer-to-peer file sharing networks, and they have at their fingertips the huge database, millions of files of child sexual abuse, free and available to download. And it's within those networks that our tool sits, and they are deemed to be public forums, public areas of the dark web. And these predators, unknowing to them, are exposing their IP addresses, and our tool simply sits in there, watches the millions of trades and daily downloads per day, and digitally writes down all those leads so that law enforcement can access them. But yes, just to summarize, so these peer-to-peer and chat-based networks aren't typical Google websites. They're more underground areas of the internet that predators know about. And through our tool, law enforcement is able to track, monitor, and identify these predators.
Wow. Okay. And a little bit more regarding the dark web. You said there's files and there's trade on child sexual abuse. What kind of files are we talking about? Pictures, videos? What is being traded exactly?
So the majority of it is videos, but all of those things. So pictures, we're seeing videos, we're seeing even live stream videos that someone took from social media that they're now sharing in these dark web peer-to-peer based networks. The majority of what we see, though, because it's so easy to access, is videos of child sexual abuse. And our tool, we want to make certain that what we're tracking is illegal content. So the way that we're able to do that is we only start tracking a file once law enforcement has viewed it and categorized it to us as a known felony file depicting a child 12 years old or younger. So we want to make sure that it's not, is it an 18-year-old that looks to be 17? We want to make sure it's without a doubt illegal child exploitation material. So law enforcement has viewed it. They characterize the child to be 12 years old or younger, so prepubescent. And a lot of the majority of files of videos that we're seeing depict the physical and sexual abuse of children as young as 1 or 2 or 3 years old that we're commonly seeing being traded. So this isn't just a picture of a young teenager girl flashing a camera or taking a picture exposing herself that way. It's video abuse of a very young child.
It's heartbreaking that that is going on, and this is why it is so important to expose those things to our community so that they can be aware that this is going on. So another question that I have, I'm going to present this over to Dr. Marie. If you can go ahead and talk about so let's say a child has been speaking to someone online. We have someone that has been entertaining them through a kind of like an online relationship, and they figure out and they find out that this was not a friend their age, this was actually an adult that they've been talking to, what are some of the post-health conditions that a child can now begin to experience?
So what I will do is share my screen with you just to go over some of the things that are very detrimental to our children. One of the things that we found that a lot of times kids, they go through a lot of depression. They go through even to the extent of even thinking of suicide. And so this is very critical. So what I'm going to do is share my screen with you so we can get to the bottom of this. All right. So we talked about what the problem is, and the children who spent most of the time on the internet tend to have feelings of isolation and depression, and because they're not having a lot of face-to-face interactions with family and friends, so they tend to isolate themselves, and that also compromise their cognitive development, and so they become very stressful, fatigued, and they can't concentrate. They become very irritable. So if a parent's watching children who are spending so much time on the internet, it's important for them to pay attention to the children's behavior, because if they spend more than 2 hours on the internet, they tend to have poor self rating mental health and experience a lot of psychological distress and suicidal ideation. And what we also found is that their attention span has been reduced, and so they don't do well in school, they can't concentrate, and because they have been on the net for so long, these children tend to be a little bit more aggressive. So if they're watching any types of violent or sexual explicit content on a regular basis on the net, that will pose a threat to their own behavior, which cause them to be a little bit more aggressive and suffering from real life experiences with others.
So thank you so much for that. And we know that suicide is such a big issue with our teens right now.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, children are now more than ever starting to commit suicide, or at least it's becoming more known, since we have access to so much media, that this is so important to understand that parents really need to be at the forefront and have these conversations with their children, because God forbid any of our kids get exposed to anything like this. So I'm going to pose this question back to Carly. Carly, what are some of the ways that parents can begin to have these conversations with their children? And do you offer any resources on your website for parents to use that can kind of help them guide them through these conversations?
Yes, we do. So on childrescuecoalition.org, we have a whole educate and parents tab of resources available to them, to ways to talk about this kind of activity with their children and how to bring up this conversation. We also offer a two-way contract that you can give to your child when you're giving them a device. So this is rules that the child is expected to abide by, and then also expectations of the parents as well. So that's been one thing we, as an organization, have been trying to remind people. It's not just about what children are doing online. It is also us parents that need to be cautious of what we're putting out there and what information that we're sharing about our children online, and making sure that we're not overexposing them. So
I kind of want to interrupt you there, because you said something that's kind of important that you said parents also need to be responsible about what they're posting online. What kind of things do parents commonly do that can actually cause an issue? So, you know, I'm a parent, I'm posting a picture because I'm so proud of my kid, right? We're so proud to share all of their great moments, but what am I doing as a parent that I don't know that can actually be a problem?
Yes, yeah, that we started a whole pause before you post campaign, which was really encouraging parents to pause before they're putting information out there. So certainly not telling parents to stop sharing, but to really think about what content they are putting out there online about their children. So some things to think about is, number one, are your privacy settings set to private? You know, is this going out there publicly, or am I just sharing this with people I know and I trust online? And even with that, even with harsh privacy settings, we still encourage parents, do not overexpose pictures that are exposing nudity, even bathing suit photos that might be too revealing, because you never know, even someone within a trusted network of social media could potentially be a dangerous predator. And you just really don't want to be overexposing your children in that way. And other things to think about is, certainly don't want to give information where that child lives, their age, their name, or what school they go to. I actually spoke to a Palm Beach officer that told me about a case of a child posting their soccer pictures with the name of the soccer team on the jersey. So a very innocent photo that went online, but a predator actually Googled to see where that soccer team, what school it was part of, and that predator set up a fake account to pose as another student from that school. So that's something so innocent that you would post a soccer picture, but if it's just analyze things before you're posting them and make sure it's not giving any kind of details that could be leads for predators to use and to exploit online.
And that is something that, you know, us as parents, we just do so innocently, and we don't even know that something like that can possibly cause a bigger issue in the future. So what are the ways, Carly, do you think that parents can start having these conversations with their kids?
Yes, so I think it can start from an early age of, and I think right now where a lot of us are home, certainly online activity and online learning and being engaged socially is all happening on devices, which is a totally great way to be connected and something we should all be doing. But this is a great time to participate with your kid online, make sure that you know the places that they're going to, and making sure that you're a safe place for them to report things to. Unfortunately, children are almost on the front line of being approached by predators in places that parents can't be at all times. And they need to know that you're a safe person to be able to go to report that to, and what exactly to do with that information. So we also encourage children not to be allowed to take devices into bathrooms or bedrooms unattended. So do this in an open area of your house, and allow parents to know that you have the authority to go in and check their activity. As it was mentioned before, there's a lot of great software and technology that's out there that can monitor devices and different privacy settings. So we certainly encourage parents to use everything that's available to them to monitor their activity.
Great. And I just kind of want to remind the viewers, if you have any questions for any of our panelists, please feel free to go ahead and comment them, and we will try to answer them towards the end of our discussion. So if you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and put them on the comment line so that we can go ahead and answer them towards the end. So leading to the fact that there are apps and software, I'm going to pose a question back over to Andre from ArcSolvers. Andre, let us know what are some of the different types of applications and softwares that parents can use, regardless of where they're at. So.
Yeah, sure. So first I'll talk about the cell phones. Most carriers, major carriers, they actually have an option that if you let them know that this smartphone is going to be used by a child, they can actually do settings such as only allow certain phone numbers to call them. So you tell them, okay, grandpa, grandma, mom, dad, uncle, etc. And that's the only phone numbers that can actually come in and come out, as well as for text messages as well. Also, with some of the major carriers, they also do provide the feature where they filter on their side whatever's coming into the phone, and all of that is for free. Now, when you come into the house, you have your major carriers in South Florida, which are AT&T, your major internet carriers in South Florida, which are AT&T and Comcast. They also have features for free that allows you to basically do parental controls. So from an app or from a browser, you can actually tell them that this laptop, this phone, or whatever the case is, that this is a child. And same thing, if you can choose categories: pornography, gambling. Even if you don't want your children right now to be looking at what's going on with this whole COVID-19, you can actually do keyword filtering so that when they try to go on that website, or if they're clicking on something and it leads them to a website within those categories, it's going to block them, and that's for free. And then, as I had mentioned before, if you're using Microsoft Family Safety is an option where it's free, and as the child is using the laptop, if either they're in your home or if they're outside your home, it's going to record different keywords, Google searches, etc. Also, with Google and Bing, there's something called Family Safety, where when you do a Google search, if there's anything that may be not suitable for a kid, then it will essentially filter that for you, and that's just a quick setting. And likewise with YouTube, if you have smaller children, toddlers, they watching Mickey Mouse and so forth, there's actually YouTube Kids. And then that way the child will never be able to see what's really out there on YouTube. But with YouTube Kids is another option. And then there's also paid programs or applications such as Net Nanny, which for about $55 a year, you can put it up to 5 devices. And again, everything from parental controls to keyword searching. They have premium packages where it can actually do recordings. There's another one that we use, which is called Circle. And with Circle, it allows you to set limits. So if my child is at school from 8 to 2, there should really be no reason for them to be going online. So essentially they're blocked from that. And then after 9 o'clock, which is their bedtime, it also blocks them from going on the internet. And then likewise, it has all the different types of parental controls. And that one is about it's about $10 a month. So there's totally different ones, but Net Nanny, Circle, and then the free ones I mentioned with Microsoft, and then Apple has something called Screen Time, which is the same concept.
Great, thank you so much for that. And I know that after the meeting, you can probably go ahead and put down some links on the comments there.
Sure.
Where parents can actually go and try to find their information. So just to kind of backtrack a little bit on what you said. So if I already have kind of like a Comcast or AT&T provider, they already offer some services that are included in my package that can help me with the protection with internet and the kids, correct?
Yeah, correct, while they're in your home. So that's why it's important to also have it for their mobile devices. So because technically it's not on the same network.
Right.
And I always say security is a layer. So even though you have it on your router, that doesn't mean they're going to catch everything. So it's definitely important that just don't put it on one avenue. You would think of it as an onion, and you just want to continue layering it because unfortunately the bad guys are always in front of the good guys. So they're always finding ways to sneak in.
That's great. So now I'm going to go back to Dr. Marie. Dr. Marie, let's say I identified an issue. I think that, my child was lured or he's entertaining something. What can I do? Who can I talk to from the health and medical standpoint about this situation, and how can I now continue to get help?
Now, this is very important. We want to make sure that parents understand that they need to notify the child's psychiatrist, psychologist. Primary care providers can make those referrals. If you suspect your child is not doing well emotionally, you need to refer the child to a professional right away. There are some resources in the community that addresses children's mental health issues as it relates to other factors such as child abuse, child pornography, people who have exposed children to pornography, etc. For one of the things I know is Christie House is a good resource. We also have Glory House, if it's for human trafficking. We have several resources within the city, Miami-Dade County, the children's family children's and health, the department, the Florida Health Department has other resources. So every parent should have a list of resources that are readily available in case their child has been exposed. But the most important thing is to communicate with their primary care provider, and so that the proper referrals can be made.
Right. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to go back to Carly. Carly, do you have any final thoughts, recommendations, things that you recommend for our parents to do to make sure that we continue to keep our child safe from online predators?
It's certainly just open communication, I think, is the biggest one. I think parents both realizing and children realizing that a lot of times it's not that scary person who jumps out of a bush and takes you from your family, or even someone who just sends you a really graphic, horrible thing online, which there's certainly people like that exist. But the way typically it starts is someone who comes and acts very nice to that child, or is sending them nice messages, or telling them how much they care about them, can even make it so that the family believes that as well. The parents are gaining their trust and allowing them to have access to children. So it's really just making sure that you're being very cautious of who's within that circle of trust within your family, who has access to these children, because the majority of predators are known to that child, and as someone within the network of people that is allowed access to the children. So certainly just to be cautious, and parents, I think, that are online and listening to this kind of activity and wanting to engage and looking at their internet activity are more vigilant parents, and can hopefully be a lot better at protecting their children against this type of activity. Unfortunately, it's not just predators that we know that have been arrested, because we can actually see in our system there's so many more millions of people who've never been arrested or identified before, who are engaging in this kind of online activity and showing that they have an interest in children sexually. So unfortunately, it is an issue that is all around us. And I almost do expect that this problem's going to rise, because so many people are home, they're sitting on their computers, and a lot of predator behavior is almost anticipated to be rising with this. So certainly be vigilant, talk to your children, and report it to the authorities if anything is discovered that a child has been approached.
Thank you, Reginald and Dr. Marie Etienne, for getting on this call. I think that this was very informational, and if anything, it's going to open up the conversation in people's homes. Hopefully this will motivate parents to begin to have these conversations with their children. And once again, if you would like more information on Child Rescue Coalition and how you can get involved or participate, whether it be one of your next events or anything, what do parents need to do to get more information, Carly?
Yes, so please sign up for, go on our website, childrescuecoalition.org, and you can sign up for our newsletter, which tells you about our events coming up, any kind of parenting tips and webinars that we have. And we also explain a lot more of what we're doing behind the scenes with law enforcement. We certainly encourage people to sign up for our newsletter, but attend our events and also support us. This is how we're able to give this technology for free to law enforcement, is really through the community's support and the belief that we are making a difference. So with every predator that we're identifying, we're preventing thousands of children from being victimized in the first place. So we really want to keep our work going, keep the community supporting us, and certainly spreading awareness and safety tips for parents as well.
Great, great. And Dr. Marie, please tell our viewers and the people watching this, how can they get connected with Global Innovative Foundation, and what upcoming events do you have to support your organization?
Tanya, if you don't mind, I have one last slide that I want to stress with the parents regards to physical consequences. A lot of times, you know, children are surfing the net. We need to also remind parents that childhood obesity is a major public health concern, and that they also need to watch their children as they are sitting in front of the computers and the mobile devices. And so we need to encourage them to exercise, because, you know, that can be obesity can lead to childhood diabetes. And so it's important for parents to talk to their children openly and make sure that they know that there are other health concerns that can happen. And so they need to be careful with that. And so I just wanted to share that with you so that everybody's understanding that it's not just cyber violation that happens, but also physical consequences. As far as for Global Innovative Foundation, our website is gifoundation.org. And I just want to thank Tanya, because she is on board with us as our Deputy Director of International Affairs. She recently went to Haiti and did an amazing job with the Mavuno project, and we're very proud of her. She's our star, and so we want to make sure that everybody know to support Tanya and her projects that she's doing. If anybody is interested in reaching out to us, you can visit our website. Global Innovative Foundation website is gifoundation.org, and you can also just look us up on Facebook and give us a call, and we're here to support our children. We're here to support the community, and again, as a nonprofit organization, everybody knows that all activities has been put on hold due to the COVID-19, and so our Power and Influence Luncheon has been put on hold until further notice. We hope to have it before the end of the year. So let's keep our fingers crossed and make sure that everybody practice social distancing and being safe in their respective communities. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for those kind words, Dr. Marie. I'm really humbled to have been part of your organization and to have accepted your invitation to be on board with what you guys are doing. We do have a question online that I do want to ask. It says, we'll be seeing more abuse rising during the quarantine. are there any online safe places? So these are online safe places that youth can go to if they're being abused at home.
If I may, I think this is the perfect time for parents to spend time with their children and having open conversations. Right now, because of the amount of stress that that are around this virus at the home, children are staying home. Parents may lose it. You know, they may like, oh my God, I can't take too much of this noise, and so it's important for parents to also take some time to do some relaxation, some exercise, and communicate and put some music in the house and have fun, and make sure that the children relaxing music, if it's worshiping, you want to worship, whatever you want to worship, your music. But most importantly, right now, the children are being put at risk. They are at greater risk for abuse, not only for abuse, physical abuse, but emotional abuse at the home, but as well as in the cyber space. That's why I'm glad Andre is giving those tips for parents. And of course, Carly, we appreciate your expertise as well. And I think I'm going to pass it on back, because I do think that the children would be at high risk.
Right. So does anyone know on here any places that children can go or maybe report online that they're in an abusive situation?
Yes.
Yes.
If I can, I would like to jump in. So certainly I do anticipate, I mean, this is such difficult times just for everybody right now. And just to think about the impact financially and what everybody's dealing with health-wise. But it does concern me about sexual abuse as well. So I do, like I mentioned before, anticipate a rise in how much child sexual abuse material is being traded and how many children are trying to be contacted by predators. The other concern would be that we know that statistically that a majority of predators are known to that child and could be someone happening from within their own home. And so now that child is home all the time with that potential predator, if that's the situation that's happening. So a place that I definitely know and trust is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and going to their cyber tip line. They even have a phone number that you can call, and a child can certainly report if they're experiencing any kind of abuse or sexual abuse from within the home. And that would be reported to law enforcement immediately, and they would get the help that they need. And it also would be the place to go to if a predator is approaching them via the internet and trying to groom them or sending pictures. That is also something that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children cyber tip line would be a great resource for them to know about. I just think that any parent should talk about that with their children, and children need to know that that's available to them to be reporting that information to.
Thank you so much for that. I just want to give any time to see if you guys have any questions on your feeds there that we might want to answer. If we don't have any further questions, then we are going to close out this panel discussion. And thank you all once again for your time. Listen, fear can silence the voice of people. And here at the Mavuno Project, we refuse for COVID-19 to keep us silent. So this is a way in which we can all just kind of chime in, continue to be a voice in the community, even if we cannot physically meet. But thank God that we have resources such as Facebook Live, Zoom, the internet, in which we can continue to put out valuable information for our community and for the safety of our children. If you would like more information on the Mavuno Project, thank you, Marie. I see that you posted the Children's Abuse Hotline number, 1-800-962 2873. Thank you for posting that. And if you would like more information on the Mavuno project and what we are doing, follow our pages. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Mavuno Project, MAVUNO. For those who don't know about the Mavuno Project, we are a nonprofit ministry in which we take human trafficking mission trips to other countries, and we raise awareness and prevention on human trafficking so that our kids who are the most vulnerable do not get lured into this lifestyle. So once again, thank you guys. Share this video. If you watch this, share this on your pages, share this on your social media. You can play the rewatch. We'll try to keep this here on our pages so that you can continue to share. This is valuable information, especially during this time, which our kids are at home in front of their computers now more than ever. Thank you guys. Have a blessed day and God bless you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, Andre, Tanya, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't forget to put those resources, Andre.
I believe he did.
Okay, great. Great.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.